Hello and welcome back to Optionsmith. I know I haven't created a video for quite some time. I've been very busy making improvements to Optionsmith, so I'm going to talk about that a little later in the video. We've got some really exciting stuff. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is the results so far from my option strategy that I've been testing. If you've been watching my videos earlier, I have this strategy where I enter in an SPX, a 0DTE, which means using options that expire that day. I enter in a trade near the beginning of market open every day, and I let it play out. And it's a very straightforward strategy that's very good for my trading psychology, which I think is the most important thing. There's no questioning that it's a one-to-one risk-reward type strategy. So I'll talk about that a little bit later just to review it, but here are the results so far. So I've had 22 trades, which means one trade per day, 22 trading days. I have a win rate so far of 72.73, which actually surprised me. That's a lot higher than I had expected, especially since my back testing of the market showed a 57% edge, or so 57% of the time the market would do what my trade was hoping it would do. I think this streak of 9 winners in a row definitely had something to do with it, and it's too early to tell if that streak is because of just raw luck, but the fact that it happened very early on in the testing maybe shows that there's more of an edge to this strategy than I had expected. So I will continue going with that. For me, live testing is the only real way to know if a strategy is worth banking on. I think a lot of people use back testing too much. I think it's overrated. For me, it's a good way to just get an idea of if the strategy is worth pursuing or not. But live trading is so much different. You've got so many factors in live trading that you don't see in the back testing that can throw it off completely. In some ways, it can make your strategy perform way worse than what your back testing shows. In some ways, and maybe in this case, it shows live trading makes the strategy play out way better than the back testing. So for me, I do a little bit of back testing just to decide if a certain strategy that I've come up with is worth pursuing, and then from there, the live trading is everything. I use one lots right now, so this is just the bare minimum risk reward in SPX for the options, just to get a full track record and see how it works out. So 22 positions, 72.73%. I will go to the analytics page here in Optionsmith and look at what this breaks down to. So I use a tag in here called SPX Flex, and that's just tagging the positions where I follow this strategy. So this is the main thing I'm going to focus in on is, yes, the win rate. The max drawdown was $300. So in this process of getting 2,586 in profit, I was never drawn down more than $300, which is huge for a strategy. I mean, you can look at this profit curve. That's a very good looking stretch. Again, my risk to reward is 250 and 250. So on each trade, the most I can lose is 250. Generally, a winner is 250. You can see my average win is actually 251. There are a couple cases because of the fact that I do broken wing butterflies when it's a bearish trade. Sometimes it can land in the profit tent. I'll show that a little bit. And that can give me a nice bonus trade. You can see my best trade, I actually had a 576 winner for one of the trades. So that's just another little piece that adds a little bit more edge onto this overall strategy. So how do I go about this strategy? I'll do it real quick because I know I've talked about this in my other videos, but I do get to show that we have a chart now in Optionsmith. This was not part of the original plan for Optionsmith. I had always thought TradingView would be the supplementary chart that would be used with Optionsmith because TradingView is so good. But I decided that we needed to have something that makes it easy to integrate your position with a chart. I had created a TradingView code that would take, it was an indicator where we could export a little bit of data out of our position in Optionsmith, paste it in TradingView, and see our profit and loss zones, like where the price would have to be for us to win versus lose, which works well. It's still there, but it's also nice to be able to just quickly go to a position. So in Optionsmith, in the position visualizer, I can see my position here. It's currently down. This might be a losing day, which is fine. But now I have this chart this button, which when clicking, it will show you the chart, but it also shows you these profit loss zones immediately, which I find very helpful. So I can see that if the price finishes above this yellow line, above in this green area or above, it will be a winning trade, and it makes it really easy to just track what's going on. That is something in all my years of options trading, I have never had something that definitive where I can look at a chart and see exactly where the price is and where it has to be in order for this to be a winning trade or not. So that's why I decided we would implement this chart. I think it's a good chart. Again, I'm not trying to compete with TradingView, but it's a piece of Optionsmith that now adds in a very nice, convenient piece of functionality. But really quickly, so my strategy revolves around the first opening candle on SPX. So when SPX opens up, I wait for the first 5-minute candle to form, and then I mark a box that shows the range of that first 5-minute candle. Once that candle is done, and I use the wicks, I don't just mark the body. Once that candle is done, I wait until I see a candle, 5-minute candle, that closes after that one, either above or below that opening range. Once this candle closed, I knew I was going to take a bullish trade for the day. When I do that, I go over to my visualizer and I throw on either a broken wing butterfly or a credit spread. If I'm bullish for the day, I put on a put credit spread. If I'm bearish, I put on a call broken wing butterfly. The reason for that is just because when you're taking a bullish trade, I find I get a better ratio, a better risk reward ratio with credit spreads, and it's easier for me to get that 1-to-1. I do still usually have to work the order a little bit and wait for a little bit of a pullback. I put the order in for 250 credit for that credit spread, and I try to work that order, so I look for a pullback to happen, which usually causes it to fill. If that doesn't happen, sometimes I will move the strikes up a little bit to chase the market a tad. It's just part of my plan. It's been working out. So some people will say don't chase the market ever. In this plan, it's part of my rules. If I'm bearish, I put on a broken wing butterfly, and that works out because of the way the call options, they skew a little bit. It creates a little bit better situation than if I put on a credit spread for me. I mean, this is all my own trading. I'm just sharing. It might not be the same for others. And then it's nice to have that little profit tent in the broken wing butterfly, so I do have a chance at getting a nice bonus. It happens sometimes. This is what I end up looking at as the trade is on, and so I just let it run until the end of the day. Now, when we get to the last hour of trading, I do have a decision to make. So if I've got a bullish credit spread on like this, then if we're in the last hour and we're up around here, if it's over 80% in profit, so if I'm like around 200 or 220, I will look at how far away we are from the break even, and I have the option to make a decision and say I'm just going to get out at like 90% profit, because that last 10%, it just isn't worth sitting in the market for another hour, especially sometimes that last hour can end up getting a lot of volatility in it. But a lot of times if it's out here, I will just let it play out. I'll take the 250 profit. So that hour where I do make a decision, that's the piece of discretion that's in my plan. So as long as in my trading plan, I have it written out, this is where I have discretion to make decisions. This is where a little bit of market awareness can be applied. I think so far, actually, this kind of management has increased my win rate, because I've seen cases where I got out because of that. I said, it's not worth it for the extra 10% to stay in the market. And then I see the market reverse in the last hour, and it would have been a full loser. I've seen that. So that is a little piece of discretionary decision that I allow in my plan. Now, if I'm taking a bearish trade, and so I put on a broken wing butterfly, let's say a call broken wing butterfly, like this, I make sure I work it until I get filled so that I get a 250 credit for it, which means that my risk is 250 on this side. I always, in my trading, I always want that 1-to-1, because then all I have to do is find just enough edge in the market in order to get a probabilistic profit. So it's using the math. Now, if there's little things in there where I can manage it at certain times, like I described, where I can increase my win rate a little bit, that's all the better. But I'm basing it on that edge and that 1-to-1 risk reward. So it's not for everybody. Some people really need a 2-to-1 reward to their risk or more. There are many ways to trade that work. This fits my trading psychology, and I'm just describing what I've arrived at after many, many years. So anyway, broken wing butterfly, it looks like this generally. When you get into that last hour of the day, this line, which is the current profit curve, so it means wherever the price is at that time, this is how much profit you would have or loss. This starts looking like a wave. I call it a wave. Oh, here's my cat. I call it a wave because it starts to get a peak around this area in the last hour, and then that wave starts to move forward until it kind of starts looking more and more like this expiration, this profit curve at expiration. In that last hour, if I am on the front end of that wave where it looks that, and this is gamma that causes it to get steeper and steeper. If I'm on the front end of that where it looks like just a slight move up can really decrease how much profit I'm going to make, or even push me into a loss, I will take that off for a profit. As long as it's in profit, generally I want it to be at least 80%. And that, again, there's some discretion there, but no, it's not a discretionary decision which would completely change the trading strategy. This is just like little bits and pieces. So the base of the trading strategy needs to be very mechanical, but it allows for a little bit of discretion here and there. So that's how I work this strategy. And like I said, so far, it's looking like a really good strategy. I've got 22 trades done at this point. When I get to the point where I've done 50 trades, then I'm going to analyze it, and I'm going to make sure that I feel like this is a strategy you can depend on, and then I will start scaling up my risk and go from there. So other than my strategy, you can see that I have added this chart. I'm quite happy with it. Another piece of functionality that we added in that I hadn't planned on initially, it was never part of the plan, but through customer feedback and just thinking through how useful it would be, we added something in here to take dividends payments and link them to your positions. So when we get dividend payments from the Schwab feed, Schwab does not really provide us with a reliable way to link dividends to your positions. The closest thing is there's a description in both, and sometimes they match. So when they do, we're automatically kind of linking them. But you can go into this page in Optionsmith and see all the dividend payments and interest payments. But the dividend payments, you can assign them to a specific position that you have, and then they will appear in your details. You can see in this position, we got this dividend payment. I just use this as an example. It's just a couple shares. I wanted to create a scenario where I could test this out. And you see that I had it also automatically reinvesting the dividends, so it shows the shares that I acquired here. But it adds this dividend payment in here. So that's another part of the functionality that has been added to make this even more useful. So I think that's about all I wanted to cover today. I just wanted to give a quick update. Like I said, I haven't created a video in a while. I've been very busy just trying to make this the best platform out there, and I will continue to show the different features that we add in here. So if you want to try out Optionsmith, just send us an email at support@optionsmith.com. That's support@optionsmith.com. And I look forward to talking to you another time. Thank you.